Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Booze Bites, the show where I teach you how to cook with booze, but not just any booze, local booze. I am so excited about today's recipe. And as you can see, I've already started, but before we get into that, the booze we are going to be using today is this bourbon from One Woman Winery. They just came out with it, and they also have a vodka, and I am very excited to be cooking with it. I'm not really one to drink liquor straight, so I'm gonna make a cocktail. Ooh, oh my God, that is so good. Okay, woo. Today we are making a salted caramel bourbon chocolate pie. A lot of words, a very delicious dessert. This recipe isn't super labor intensive, but it does take a lot of time. So let's rewind a little bit and go back to what I started with, which was the crust. I made a pecan shortbread crust. You can get a store-bought crust, you can make chocolate crust, you can make a graham cracker crust. I will have the recipe I used to make this crust included, but it was very easy. I blended up some pecans, added some butter, sugar, egg, and it came together as a shortbread, threw it into a pan, spread it out, cooked it in the oven, let it cool, and that was it. Now, perhaps the most integral part of this recipe is the salted bourbon caramel. This stuff is incredibly addicting, so easy to make, and the recipe makes a little bit extra. As you can see, you can put this on toast, on ice cream, on whatever. You could add it to a cocktail if you wanted to. Sometimes I just eat it with a spoon. To start, you are going to add your sugar, your bourbon, and your corn syrup to a saucepan over medium heat, stirring every few minutes until it comes to a boil. Then you are going to want to let that boil, watching it and stirring it every few minutes for about 12 minutes until it darkens in color. You're going to see the texture change over time and start with this very sort of thin caramel, thin sugary mixture, and eventually move to a very thick mixture. You're even going to see the bubbles change to bigger bubbles. After those 12 minutes, you are going to take it off the heat and immediately add your butter, your heavy cream, your salt, and your sour cream. Sour cream may sound like a little bit of an odd ingredient, but it adds just a touch of extra creaminess and thickness to this caramel. Then you're going to immediately pour it into your pie crust because it needs to set for at least an hour. If you find that after an hour your caramel still isn't quite set, that's totally okay. You can either throw your pie into the fridge or even into the freezer, and it's still going to taste very delicious. It just will be a little bit runny. And that brings us to now, which is the final step, and perhaps my favorite, which is the chocolate layer that goes on top. You're going to start by putting half a cup of heavy cream into a saucepan to heat up. Then you're going to take 3.5 to 4 ounces of dark chocolate and breaking that up into a container. Once my heavy cream has come to a boil, I'm going to remove it from the heat and pour it over my chocolate. Now I'm just going to let this sit for a minute and let the hot cream melt the chocolate. So our glaze has come together. Now, I'm just gonna top it. I'm gonna pop this into the fridge for an hour. So the pie has set. It looks amazing, but just to finish it off, I'm going to top it with some chopped pecans and some North Fork sea salt. Oh my God, look at those layers. Look at that caramel. Wow. I just need a moment alone with this pie because this is, I don't even have words to describe how good this is. The crust is this delicious, a little bit crunchy foundation for the pie. Has that nuttiness in there because of the pecans. The caramel is absolutely addicting. It doesn't have a super bourbon forward flavor, but it almost kind of hits you there at the end, but in like a super subtle way. And then the chocolate is just heavy cream and chocolate. So like, what's not to like about that? It's cold. You get a little bit of that crunch on top with the flaky sea salt. I might just eat this whole thing. With that, this might be the best thing I've ever made. I hope you try it. Cheers.